Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I'm your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing okay. I mean, I'm
Whoa,
always
whoa,
doing
whoa,
okay.
whoa, 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 whoa! You started out good, and you were like, "I'm doing okay." So something
Yeah,
happened there.
I went from good to okay
Yeah,
very
yeah.
quickly, very suddenly, because
Yeah, well, I
my
think that
emotions shift.
the first answer was like what you say to people when you're like trying to be positive, and then you're like,
Yeah,
"Actually, I'm more okay."
yeah.
That was
I
the
tried to
honest
be
answer.
honest there for a brief moment in time, and you
Yeah,
caught me.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I mean, just tired, I guess.
Sure.
Always tired, but um, yeah, I'm glad to be back here talking about all kinds of cool stuff this week. A bit of a different pace, different feel of this week. It was the
Well,
last full week of the month,
yeah.
and usually we get inundated with stuff, and then this week it was not the case.
Well,
Everything was
also,
more spread out
Well,
in
also
July.
for you, what's interesting about this week is that you guested on another show, so you've already talked about some of this
I
stuff.
did talk about some of these, plus some overlap with what we talked about last week with
Yeah,
imprint and some things like that. Yeah, I was a
a
guest
desk.
on
Yeah,
uh disconnected show Reconnected with Ryan, who has been on our show a couple of times, and we've been a big supporter of each other back and forth
as you do.
as have we done. And yeah, it was a good show. 3 hours and 40 minutes straight live show, talking about almost nearly every release up until this past Thursday, and it was a fun time. It was something different than what we do. You know what I mean? That whole live thing is a lot
Yeah.
different. You interact with people, people commenting, viewership that's there. I'm not used to it. Not used to
Well,
it at all.
I mean, you know what it makes me. I mean, like we do, of course, the unwatched pile, and it's not nearly as it's got not nearly as much of a following yet. But you know what it kind of makes me. It gives me a little bit of anxiety because it's like if you have so many people, it's like being in a crowded room and there's like people all around and you don't really know them. And that's how I get sometimes with some of these live things. I mean, I know I did the Shelf Shock Rewind and we had like 100 and something people watching. But I was like, it can be a little bit like, and for
Yeah, I,
me,
I try not to think about I try not to think that anyone's watching, and I try to block that off. I don't know how you can. I mean, there are people who do it all the time. I see people
yeah,
on Twitch, people on TikTok, people even on Instagram, live streaming and interacting with people at the same time, like doing stuff, whether it's playing video games or watching something or whatever the case may be, and interacting with people at the same time. It just there'd be so much going on. It'd be tough for me to keep
well,
up.
you know, what's funny is I don't see, I do get a little bit like a nervousness with this, but it's like, then I can go and sing in front of a bunch of people and it doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know why. I don't know if it's that I'm more comfortable with that or like, I don't know. It just never, I mean, sure, everybody gets a little nervous, but like ultimately, once you're up there on stage and you start doing your thing, it just kind of goes away. So
You
it's
know
just,
what's even more nerve wracking would be, and actually I haven't done this before, but I've done it a little bit, is live streaming by yourself. And I know many
yeah,
people
yeah,
do it. Having to be that constantly, feel like you have to be doing something constantly, entertaining, informative, talking. You know what I mean? Just like so you
yeah,
don't have any dead space and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot. It's just a lot to handle doing a live show and being on a live show is a lot easier than hosting a live show. But I
yeah,
had a
I'm
good
sure.
time. I, just got to talk for nearly 4 hours about movies and all kinds of stuff. So that's what I like to do. I'll be doing a lot of the similar things for today's show, and this is spy number 109. Luckily, I remember that we had done 108 shows before, so I was able to promote our show
Ah,
on
yes.
Disconnected. I brought you up a bunch of times, Steve, and hopefully
Ah,
you allowed that.
Jesus.
Um, I don't know. That was kind of my default was just fall back to you
Well, it's
and be
fine.
like,
That's fine.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm glad. I'm
well,
glad.
good. I'm
I'm
glad
glad
I have your permission after the
you
fact,
can
or
use
else it would have been real
me. Yeah,
awkward.
yeah. You can use my name in conversation with other people.
Sure,
But
I
yes,
use it only to impress people.
I don't know why. That's a terrible idea. But so here we are, 109. Got some interesting slates this week. Where do you want to start? You want to get Kino done? You want to get
I want to start off with a little bit of news
news?
first.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
just because this is going to coincide with what we're probably going to talk about with next week anyway, and that's some news out of the Vinegar Syndrome camp. Vinegar Syndrome, as we've recently talked about, or maybe over the last month or so, that they were going to be separating their more adult-oriented uh, releases or movies or separately from their main site. And it looks like they're not going to be doing that alone. They're going to be working with a company called Distribix. Distribix, yes. It's an iconic producer and distributor and exploitation and sexploitation films. The two labels plan to have their first Blu-ray releases on the market later this year. So yeah, there's a whole official statement here that you can read. It's very, very long about all the different players involved, all the different people involved, a bunch of the different companies involved. But basically, you just have to learn that there's like four or so companies that are kind of banding together. One of them being Vinegar Syndrome, and that's where you'll find your sexploitation, your entertainment films, the Picorama stuff that they put out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got an email yet already signing you up for that second website, because I know I
Hmm.
did already. I guess
Yeah, I
they're
think
just
I
taking.
did. Yeah.
I think they're just taking everybody who has an account with Vinegar Syndrome and automatically enrolling them in their new site. I mean, if you don't want to use it, then you don't use it, obviously, or whatever. But I'm glad it's all like automatic, and we don't have to like jump through too many hoops to make this thing go. But yeah, just another thing. I mean, this coming Tuesday, we will be getting um, our usual Vinegar Syndrome and the OCN partner label titles. I think there's going to be about 12 partner label announcements coming up on Tuesday, plus some Vinegar Syndrome stuff. So that'll be taken care of next week. But I
Well,
just thought that was worth mentioning because I know there's a
well,
lot of
that's
people who
yeah.
buy
Some
this
people
stuff.
are really into that stuff. I mean, there's a few that I've dabbled in. Like I got some of the Doris Wishman. I got that Doris Wishman Picorama.
Mm,
It's one of them things where it's like some people really look at that stuff. I mean, and it is. It's art all in itself. It's a different type of art. So I think it's interesting that other companies are deciding to kind of band together and um, reinforce each other to maybe help spread the word a little bit more. Maybe I think initially maybe the idea was that they could mix in some of that stuff with Vinegar Syndrome stuff, and it might get people interested in it. But now they're kind of doing the opposite, and now they're kind of doubling down on that type of thing in one label, one big distribution thing. Like in
right,
trying to
right, and
put
I
more
think this
focus
is
on it.
also yeah, I think this is also going to open up the archive, open up the well of even more titles to get into. Like they've they've given a kind of a sneak peek here at several titles that are upcoming, including their first ever foray into 4K and a big 4K deluxe edition that they're working on. So yeah, apparently I think there's like hundreds of titles that they have at their disposal now. The whole of these companies banding together, so it's going to be a lot of releases,
Yeah.
coming up for that. So that was something worth mentioning. But I guess moving right along, I guess if you want to go to Kino, let's go to Kino.
All right.
Um, so we've got some stuff here. Not a lot going on this week. This is interesting though. So the movie Black Sabbath, which is the Mario Bava film from 1963, one of the kind of hallmarks of Giallo and Mario Bava and Italian horror of the time, is getting a re-release. But this is for its 60th anniversary. But Kino has specifically said this about it: we no longer have the rights to the Italian version. We have no
Mm.
interest in releasing this on 4K UHD. This is just a re-release of our previous AIP version we licensed from MGM. It's the same transfer, but encoded at a higher bit rate and on a dual-layered BD50 disc, giving the feature 30 megabits per second or more. So it should look better than the previous release that was a BD25 single-layer disc. This previous release did not include English subtitles. This one does. So, uh, I'm glad that they're open and honest about it.
Sure. Yeah.
Basically saying that this is the same thing. We're not going to be releasing the original Italian version. The AIP cut is, for those of you not in the know, many of you probably already do, so this is redundant, is the American like version of the movie. It was
Yeah.
acquired by AIP back in the 60s, which was Roger Corman's company for distribution here in the States, but it was like cut down and like re-edited. They even had a different color palette about the film as well. So it's kind of a different cut of the movie in general. But you can find the original Italian version. I think Kino may have put out one back in like 2013, along with another AIP cut. I think Arrow has put this out in the UK.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a Bava set that I believe has Black Sabbath in it.
Yeah, and
Um,
this film has been available in many versions, many editions. I mean, specifically, I'm curious if we're gonna get a 4K re-release of this from Arrow sometime soon.
yeah,
Considering they just did Blood and Black Lace, which was
yeah,
released around the same time as Black Sabbath on Blu-ray for them, I thought that perhaps that would be the case. For those of you who do wondering, apparently, the band Black Sabbath did get the name of the band from this movie. That's a little
yes,
extra thing in there for you. So yeah, the one that you have, Stephen, the Macabre Visions, the films of Mario Bava, which came out in 2019, has Black Sunday, yep, The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Black Sabbath, Kill Baby Kill, $5 for an August Moon, A Bay of Blood, Barren Blood, Lisa and the Devil / The House of the Exorcism, Rabid Dogs, then Lust of the Vampire. That is a massive set. That's a
yeah,
massive set.
yeah, and it does look like I believe it says there's the audio. It has an Italian and an English version, so I'm guessing that means it has the Italian cut in here
Well, yeah, and
on
I
this
click
version.
yeah, if you go onto blu-ray.com and you click on that Arrow
Yeah, it's
release,
got two cuts.
it says 2
Yeah,
cuts.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
what I was saying. Because the English cut or the American cut of the film actually is the stories are in different order. So the movie is an anthology of 3 stories, and in the American version, I believe they told, like, the second story first, as
yeah.
opposed to the first story first, from the original Italian version. Don't ask me why they did that, but that's what they did. The movie does sell itself as starring Boris Karloff, but it really doesn't. He's only in the second story of the anthology, and then he also does like the intro and then like the outro to this whole like anthology. That is it for the Boris Karloff stuff. So don't go in thinking like, oh, I gotta see Boris Karloff. He's in it for one story, but he is very good. He is very good
Yeah.
in it. So, I did want to mention that. So that is coming out October 24th. That's coming out October 24th. And then
Yes.
we've got a movie called Top Copy. Now, Top Copy from 1964 is a Jules Dassin film. It's a Jules Dassin film dealing with a heist, which may sound familiar to you because he also did the movie Rafifi, which is also about a heist.
Hmm.
So this movie is it's centered around a heist done in Istanbul, Turkey, around the Topkapi Palace Museum, which is this famous museum there. And this woman wants to steal a bejeweled dagger that was owned by some, I think, sultan from way back when. And
Ah,
she enlists like her ex lover to like lead um this heist, really. And the whole movie is centered around that, like the trials and tribulations of trying to pull off this heist. It's very good. The movie's very entertaining, very good. I rather enjoyed it.
cool.
I could say that about it. And yeah, I think this is, and it just says coming soon but newly restored. And I think this may have already had a release before from Kino. Once upon a time, yeah, 2014. It looks like it had a release from Kino. So this is another re-release, but it's restored. I think that release is now out of print. So for those of you who want to complete your Jules Dassin collection,
Haha.
there you go. But moving on from there, we have one that was announced today, and I'm going to go back and do one that they don't have here on their Facebook page. So remind me.
You son of a
This
bitch.
movie is coming out 4K UHD, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master, uh, for the movie Sea of Love, starring Al Pacino. Al Pacino,
Hoo-ha.
Hoo Ha, Ellen Barkin, and John Goodman. Um,
Good
I don't.
cast.
Yeah, great cast. Sea of Love. Michael Rooker's in the film as well.
Ooh.
Richard Jenkins. This is from 1989, so this is
Ooh, good
all.
year. Good year.
Yeah, I know. All everyone is kind of super young in this. Um, I just want to get a synopsis of the movie because that could literally mean anything.
It could be a love story. It could be like a sex. I'm guessing it's like a sex thriller, is what I'm
It
guessing.
says a detective investigating a series of murders becomes involved with a woman who may be
Mm,
the culprit.
yep,
Happens. Happens to the best of us.
happens to the best. Yep.
Directed by Harold Becker, who I don't know off the top of my head if he's done what other work he's done. He directed Domestic Violence with John Travolta, Mercury Rising,
That's
which
a Bruce Willis movie.
is a Bruce Willis movie. Yes,
Yeah.
he directed that. Alec Baldwin's also in that.
The onion field, the black marble, Malachi or malice. I mean, sorry, I said
Yeah, I know what you're
Malachi.
talking about. I'm scrolling down as well. A lot of interesting names here. He directed the movie Taps from 1981.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the movie starring George C. Scott, Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn, Ronnie Cox. Tom Cruise is in Taps.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think a very young Giancarlo Esposito is in that as well. Because I saw a picture the other day of like a side by side meme thing where it's like, this is Giancarlo Esposito in Taps, and this is him now. Um, and it kind of blew my mind how young he was. Uh, so yeah, so that is Sea of Love. But one thing they don't talk about here is that they gave us a more thorough, detailed list of all the stuff that's coming with their 4K release of Cujo. So Cujo, of course, the Stephen King adaptation. We talked about it when it was announced, but none of the details I think were available at the time. This is coming out also on October 24th, right in time for Halloween. And yeah, it's a 2 disc edition, 4K Blu-ray. 3 audio commentaries are on this, um, plus a bunch of interviews with a bunch of different people who were involved with the movie. I actually watched it for the first time. It was a bit of a
Ah.
slow week, and I watched it. Um, it's fine. I tell you, I think,
Yeah. It's yeah.
yeah, it's completely fine. I don't know. It's just like the whole time I felt bad for the dog the whole time.
Really.
I don't know if that's just me being a dog
You
lover
know.
at heart.
I think a lot of people these days. I mean, I feel this sometimes is that sometimes when humans get hurt, you just you don't care. But then if you see an animal get hurt, you like it's a desensitizing.
Well, the premise of the movie is, a dog gets rabies and becomes
Yeah.
rabid, and I'm like, that's not the dog's fault. It freaking got
Yeah.
bit by a bat. I mean, not his fault.
Goddamn bats.
I don't damn bats. I will say this though, Dee Wallace, who is the mother of the film, I thought she was very good. It's like she depicted like fear and desperation and just all that stuff very convincingly, as the film goes along. There's a whole other like backstory and stories going on in the movie that I don't think anyone's ever talked about, where it's like a family story, and they just happen to like meet someone who has this dog that's rabid. Like that's the premise of the movie. I want to read the book. I want to read the book to see if it's different.
Yeah.
But that's Cujo. Cujo's getting a deluxe release. Cujo had, I want to say, a release. Yeah, it had a couple of releases. It had one in 2009 for its 25th anniversary, and had one in 2013. 2009 one was released by Lionsgate, and I think the one from 2013 was released by Olive Films. So I remember seeing that one floating around. I remember when that one actually came out, and I don't think that one had anything that. Yeah, only all it had was one audio commentary. That was the only special feature on that. So if anything, this is getting much more in the way of special features. So moving on from there, Steven, where do you want to go?
How about we do how about we do the Studio Canal release that's of a movie that we've just recently
Just talked
talked
about.
about. Yeah.
Yeah. So The Others is
Yeah.
getting a 4K UHD release from Studio Canal. If you're getting Deja Vu, you should be, because we just talked about it when it came to the Criterion releases. Except the Criterion release is not a 4K.
Yes. Also right off the bat, I kind of like this cover more.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of, yeah.
I
But
don't necessarily disagree with you. It looks like a nice painting.
yeah, yeah.
The only thing I did talk about this with Ryan on the Disconnected, the font for the title It
It is a
looks a
little
little
weird.
odd.
Yeah, it is a
It
little
looks for a
odd. Yeah.
completely different movie. For those of you who have seen the movie, just do a quick comparison, a quick look-see at the Studio Canal release of the others, and it looks like the font they used for, like, The Omen or something like that. Like, it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a little it's not like it's off-putting or a make or break deal or anything like that. It just looks a little odd, because the movie's way more somber than that.
Yeah.
I don't wanna get into the plot because it would be spoiling. The movie, of course, stars Nicole Kidman in a really fantastic role, and it looks like it's coming with says new special feature looking back at the others, which is 15 minutes, and then do the music of the others. Um, I don't know if that's specifically exclusive to this release or if that's also on the Criterion. Obviously, this is going to look better than the Criterion, I guess, if you're
I mean,
talking
you would
about
think so. Yeah.
4K versus regular Blu-ray, but I guess there'll be plenty of people doing side-by-side comparisons
Yeah.
once this comes out. Once again, Studio Canal putting out a 4K of a Criterion film. Usually, it's the other way around. Criterion puts out a Blu-ray of of a Studio Canal 4K. I
Yeah.
brought up The Servant, which was already a 4K from Studio Canal, got a Blu-ray from Criterion. The Trial, 4K from Studio Canal, Blu-ray from Criterion, and now the reverse has happened, but also the same. Now,
Yeah. We also got the
what a world.
also got the Elephant Man
The Elephant
4K.
Man as well, yes. The pop-up book edition that you have.
Yes. Yes.
Very cool, very cool. But let's make our way to some other horror-related stuff. TerrorVision has put out 2 films, both horror-related. I put that in air quotes that you can't see. Um, the second one is a documentary, so not so much, but When the Screaming Starts is their first 4K UHD release. And When the Screaming Starts is a mockumentary about someone who's trying to become a serial killer. Sounds a
Mhm.
little familiar, Steven, doesn't it?
A little bit. A little
Yes.
bit.
Reminded me a lot of what's the that film that you like so much, Steven? Behind the
Uh,
Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
oh yeah. Well,
Reminded me
kind
a
of.
lot of that.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, except that movie was about following an established serial killer, and this one
Yeah.
is about like someone trying to be a serial killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the movie then takes a bit of a turn where the guy doesn't quite become a serial killer. Tries to become Charles Manson, in which he tries to inspire other people to do the killings, and then he takes the credit for it, a la Charles Manson.
Yeah.
And the movie is rather interesting in 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 how it addresses that, how it goes about that. Like sometimes it's one of those things where like, should I be laughing at something that's so messed up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it satirical? Is it just like awkward, or is it awkward? And I think you find that movie kind of combating with itself in that regard. But the mockumentary style is rather fun. Is rather a fun touch, I think. Um, for those of you who have seen it, you may understand what I'm saying. But this is coming with a commentary, deleted scenes, making of documentary, behind the scenes interviews from the set. There's a music video coming with this as well. Yeah, this is something that's rather unique for TerrorVision because yes, their first 4K and in HDR 10 plus H- HDR grade as well. I don't know how I want to say that. Um, yeah, but the next film is actually something they've released already when they were under the OCN partner label banner over at Vinegar Syndrome. And what they're doing with this release is interestingly unique. Is you can, if you have bought the release over at Vinegar Syndrome when it was there and you didn't get it with the slipcover, you can just buy the slipcover. Or if you didn't buy it at all, I think you can buy the movie with with the limited edition slipcover as well. So I think that's the 2 options that are here. Yeah, it says, um, Blu-ray with slip or slip only. So you can get the Blu-ray with the slip or the slip only. And this is a rather unique documentary, if I say.
I really want to watch this after you described it to me. I was
Yes,
like,
so the strange story of David Huggins, who is a 72-year-old Hoboken man from Hoboken, New Jersey, who claims to have had a lifetime of encounters with otherworldly beings, a la aliens. He believes pretty much since the time he was a teenager that he has had various encounters with aliens, some of them being of the sexual nature.
Mm.
And you may be laughing hysterically at it, but if you watch this documentary and see the way in which he chronicles these occurrences, he plays it so sincere, so straight, so genuine, so matter of factly that you find yourself not not quite believing him, but at least endearing yourself to the point where I'm like, man, he really believes this. He
Mm.
really believes this. And what he does too is he creates paintings, beautiful paintings of his encounters with aliens. And that's kind of the way in which he's able to express his life stories through these paintings and his encounters with aliens and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, the movie is very short. The movie only clocks in, I think, at and like an hour and 10, an hour and 7 minutes. And it's not really, it's very quick, very straight to the point. Yeah, 65 minutes, 65, 67 minutes is just the runtime of this. So it's a rather unique story of a rather unique individual. You got an audio commentary with the director as well as the producer. You have a Q&A with David Huggins. There's a Zoom interview with David Huggins and a bunch of people. And yeah, it's interesting. And I think the cover here is
One of the paintings.
one of the paintings that he
Yeah.
does. Yeah. So you get a sense of the beauty of his paintings. But yes, a unique documentary about a unique individual. Yeah, it is
Cool.
available. It is available to stream right now, I believe. I just want to make sure I know where. It's available to stream on Tubi, Vudu, Crackle, and Pluto,
All my
all for
favorite
free.
all my favorite places.
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
indeed. All of them have varying degree of ads you have to watch throughout the movie.
Yeah. The movie is
That's the only
short.
difference.
It's
It,
short, but
there's
then with the ads, it is 2 hours
yeah,
long.
there's still going to be like 10 ad breaks in there,
Yeah.
and they come at the worst possible times, but you don't have to pay anything to watch it. Um, so yeah, that is Love and Saucers. That's from Terror Vision. I think from what I heard from Ryan and what Ryan explained is that there's going to be another announcement this week from Terror Vision on Tuesday. Apparently, a big announcement from with a lot of titles.
Mm.
From what we've talked with Brad Henderson about, who's been on our show a couple of times, and just in general, he's got access to like tons of planned releases. So he's got plenty of things in the well that he's going to be releasing, and all unique things. Every time he drops a title, it's always a movie I've never heard of, ever heard of. So that's cool. Keeps
Cool.
us on our toes as movie fans, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So that's it from Terror Vision. Let's see. Oh, I do want to talk about another Kino release that I just completely forgot to talk about, and that was a unique movie. Unique in the sense that um, many of you may have seen this movie before, but in a different version. So there's this movie called Final Cut or Coupes. It's a French film that is a remake of One Cut of the Dead, which is a really great film. For those of you who haven't seen the movie One Cut of the Dead, highly recommend checking it out. It's available on Blu-ray in various places. I think in the US, RLJ Entertainment or RLJE put out a steelbook of it, which may or may not be out of print from 2020. From 2020, so it's available to find. I think it's available to stream. I think I streamed it on Shutter at one point, so it's around. But anywho, One Cut of the Dead is a Japanese film. Yeah, it's a Japanese film, and this is a French remake of that Japanese film. But this movie is directed by Michael Hazanavicius. That name may not ring bells for any of you,
It's a fucking name. I
but
can
it
tell you
rings
that.
a bell. It rang a bell for me, and the alarms were set off in my head because Michael Hazanavicius is the director of The Artist, the Best Picture
Wow.
winner from 2011.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so that's a bit of a blast from the past at this point. It's been 12 years since that movie came out. And if you haven't heard of really anyone who was in that movie or was involved in that movie, they kind of just disappeared a little bit. I mean, Janus Contemporaries, who was the lead of that film, the only thing I remember him being in after that of any note, and I could be wrong, he was in Wolf of Wall Street. He played the Swiss banker when they go and set up a Swiss bank account, Leo and his friends. He was in that. Berenice Bejo, who was in The Artist, is in this film, Final Cut, but she was also in the film The Past, the Oscar Farhadi film, the Iranian film. I remember her being in that film. Very good movie. Very good movie. But this film, Final Cut, like I said, is a remake of One Cut of the Dead, and it's kind of a shot for shot remake for the most part. And for those of you who have seen One Cut of the Dead, you understand how the movie is uniquely structured. It's a movie about a making of a movie, and there are other things going on in it. Yeah, I don't want to give away anything that happens because the first about 30 minutes of the movie are are kind of set things up for everything that happens afterward. But I enjoyed it for what it is. I wasn't surprised by anything in it because I had seen One Cut of the Dead, so that whole gimmick of the plot structure and stuff was kind of already revealed for me, and it'll be already revealed for you. So it may lose a little bit of its charm, but I had a fun time watching it. You know what I mean? It was still well directed, well acted, well structured. You know what I mean? It was just a solid movie. But yeah, that's Final Cut or Coupe, as they say. So if you've been wondering what Michael Hazanavicius has been up to, apparently this is it.
This crazy shit. All right. Well,
So yeah.
Criterion, Janus.
Oh yes, Criterion and Janus. So we talked about this stuff, Stephen. Remember when they
Yes,
first
I know we
announced
talked.
these?
I know it. Did we just did? Well, yeah, we did talk about these movies.
Yeah, I
Yes, we
think
did.
the only thing that's different is we know when they're coming out.
Ah, okay.
Man, they're coming out. They're coming out on October 17th, and these
All
are the
right.
Janus contemporary releases
Yes.
of. Yeah, read them
Obviously,
off.
yeah. Well, obviously, EO is one that is pretty notorious for being winning a lot of awards last year. Um, and then The Innocent, which is a film from 2022 as well. All three of these films are for 2022. And then No Bears is another film, is the third film.
Yeah, we talked about some of the because there were a couple of more that went along with this, but I guess this is their first
The first
batch.
official slate, yeah.
Yeah, all coming out October 17th. EO being the one that's probably the most anticipated, the Jerzy Skolimowski film, because it was nominated for like all kind of like Academy Awards and stuff like that, and whatnot. The Innocent, which is the film directed by Louis Garrel, who is a French actor. Louis Garrel, he's been in films, but perhaps films that you haven't seen. I believe he was in Little Women with the Greta Gerwig film Little Women. That'll probably be more of his one of his most recent things that he was in that I remember him from. And No Bears is a great film, a great political film. You know, No Bears portrays things that are political things that are going on in Iran. It's about a director trying to make a movie, but he's basically under house arrest in Iran, and he's not allowed to leave the country. So he's remotely directing a film in nearby in a nearby country through like Zoom and stuff.
Hmm.
But the film goes much more beyond that with political themes like government oppression and suppression of freedom of speech, freedom of thought, all this kind of stuff. A really great film. I think all three of these are currently streaming on the Criterion channel right now. Don't quote me
Okay.
on that, but I'm pretty sure they are at least by this point. So I'm excited about these. They're coming out in October, right in time. I mean, for the next Criterion sale, I guess in November. I don't know how these are going to be sold. By the way, I
Yeah.
guess can you find them on the Criterion.com?
Yes, it's on
Yeah.
the I think they're on the criterion.com page, yeah.
Okay, so they're on there, and I guess I'm assuming all the other boutique label places will also get these releases as well. Orbit DVD, Diabolic, Grindhouse. I mean, Amazon may get these. Amazon does get Criterion stuff, so I'm excited. I'm excited for just contemporary stuff that doesn't really get seen by a lot. Because if you miss these at the limited screenings that you have at certain indie theaters, you kind of just miss these in general. They don't. They do usually get home video releases, but none of the home video releases are usually advertised a lot. So you kind of have to hunt them out, or or whatnot. So I'm glad that these are available. So that is it from there. Um, Want to move? Are we on? Are we on to Arrow already?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think all we got left is Arrow.
Yes, we got our Arrow slate of the month. Came at the very last moment, but it's a slate that I I think is is a solid slate. You know what I mean? Some upgrades, so maybe
I've
people
seen
aren't
some people say this is like their favorite slate in a long time, and I'm like,
really.
I was surprised. I mean, I like the slate, but I was like, is it really the best slate of? I don't know. There's been some good slates lately.
I
Um,
mean, it's a big slate. We'll get into it right now.
it's a diverse slate too. It's
Yeah,
very
Steven,
diverse.
you want to get
I
into it?
I I, I get it. I get this. I get this, man.
Okay.
Um, so one of the to lead this in, one of the most I think famous kind of like sought after box sets in Arrow's release history is that Hellraiser set, Blu-ray set, the Scarlet box set.
Yes.
People, that's been of course out of print for a while. People have always kind of wanted that set. Well, nobody cares about that set anymore. Now you're going to get them three films and the fourth film, which I believe is Bloodline, all on 4K, coming in this new edition from Arrow. So
Yeah, it's called Quartet of Torment. That's
yeah,
the title of the box, which is it's a great
yeah,
title. It's got only has Hellraiser 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you're curious about the kind of the history release of Hellraiser, those first four films were released theatrically, and then I think the ones after that were not. Like all of them were not. We're up to like 11 or 12 Hellraiser films or something, and most of them were straight to DVD or straight to video things. Even the most recent one, which was, I guess, a reboot of sorts, was straight to streaming,
yeah,
straight to Hulu streaming. Um, I've never delved into the franchise completely. I've actually only seen the first four movies, coincidentally. Um, One obviously is the classic, directed by Clive Barker, based off of his work. The second one, this may be a hot take. I like it better than the first.
yeah. I was gonna say I think I actually like the second one better too. Yeah,
The second one, Hellbound,
yeah,
is when the character from the first film, the young tormented final girl, if you will, um, goes to like the the the, the hell dimension and
yeah.
goes and hangs out with them down there, and you just see the wild, crazy, hellbound hell dimension where the Cenobites come from. And I just thought it was just wild and just crazy, crazy movie. And then three kind of brings it back to Earth, and four is just not very good. Um, in my opinion. It's pretty bad. But this box set is not bad. 'Cause this box set has tons of stuff. We're talking. It's got 4 discs. Each movie has a bunch of special features. Even the fourth film, which I'm not a big fan of. Um, yeah, this is going to be a big release for a lot of horror Hellraiser fans, which there are many.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of it's a long running franchise. I think people, give. I think people were really attached to the Clive Barker, the kind of prosthetics, all that kind of stuff, all the Cenobites, that kind of like world that was created. I think people really have attached themselves to that thing, and that's what's kept people around. And they keep doing different iterations of the character. I think that didn't the last one actually have a female playing
Yeah,
the
the
lead?
Pinhead character, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
famously, Doug Bradley was Pinhead for many, many, many movies up until, up until recently, really. I think the
yeah,
last 3 or 4 films, he wasn't Pinhead. It's yeah, so he's notorious, a notoriously iconic character of Pinhead, um, kind of the lead Cenobite, if you will. Uh, I tell you, no matter the quality of the film, he always was on
he had
point,
presence. Yeah,
always on point, just like
yeah.
full tilt, fantastic in each film. Reminds me a lot of the Phantasm films,
Mm.
where just the main bad guy was always like on point. He was always just menacing, giving it his all, kind of the same way of the Halloween films, which I always end up going back to. Those first 6 Halloween films, regardless of the varying quality, Donald Pleasance I always thought was fantastic in those movies. Like he was always
Yeah.
giving it 110%, just fantastic in those movies. Yeah, but yeah, so that's the Hellraiser set. But we got some more stuff here.
Do we? Oh, okay, okay,
Oh
all
yeah,
right.
we do indeed. Some more
Um,
4Ks actually.
well, I could tell you one. This one right here is one that was a nice surprise, and I can't wait to get this upgrade. Witness, starring
Mm.
Harrison Ford. Um, this is one where he actually got nominated as a best actor, I believe. I think maybe his only nomination as an actor. Um, but this is that film that he did where he is on the run and he hides out with the Amish people. I think it kind of gets made fun of sometimes in movies.
Well, yeah, but what is it is that so you're right. This is the only time Harrison Ford has ever been nominated for an Oscar,
Yeah,
has been for this movie. The Peter Weir film, and this is a Peter
Peter
Weir
Weir.
film.
Yes, yeah,
This yeah, and the premise of this film is that I believe a young Amish boy witnesses a murder. I think
yes.
he and his mom are traveling in. It's probably New York. If it's the 80s, chances are it's New
It
York
says
or some
Philadelphia.
big city. Was it
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia?
Yeah,
Okay, so some big East Coast city, Philadelphia, and I think the young boy witnesses a murder, and Harrison Ford accompanies the mother and the boy back to the Amish country. Um, I guess to just wait for someone to show up to get him, I guess? It's some type of investigation. It's been
it's been
years
it's been a
since
lot.
I've seen this movie. I
I
haven't
have a
seen this movie
DVD.
since DVD.
Yeah, I
You know what I
have a
mean?
DVD, and I haven't watched it in a while, so it's been a while since
I think I have the DVD as well because it was released on Blu-ray, but it took forever to get a Blu-ray release of this.
yeah,
Yeah, Witness finally got a Blu-ray release in 2017, which is 6 years ago now, but it took forever for this to come out. It came out through Paramount, and I think I still got my old DVD of it, so this would be a massive upgrade, but that is the general premise. Harrison Ford as a police officer, detective, goes to Amish country, kinda hangs out there and
yeah.
waiting for some people to pursue this young boy and his mom. I think that's the premise of the movie. Don't quote me on that. Um, but yeah, this is getting. I also want to mention that Hellraiser box set is also coming in a 4K edition as well as a Blu-ray edition, and this Witness is coming in a 4K edition as well as a Blu-ray edition. I thought that's important
Yeah.
to make a distinction of, um, because this is happening now. We talked a little bit about this on when I was on Disconnected. Some 4Ks now are coming region locked. I don't know what the heck is going on. It's a disturbing trend that's happening. I won't say
Yeah.
that Arrow would do this, but I'm just saying in general, some people be aware that that's happening. You
It
know,
happened with which company did it recently? Was it
Umbrella,
Shout? It was Shout, wasn't
yeah,
it?
Shout Factory did it with Brotherhood of the Wolf. And then I just saw a post today or yesterday. Umbrella did it with their 4K release of Razorback that just came out.
Mm.
But
Well,
it baffled me because it said it was someone posted a screen capture or a picture of their television where it says like this is not, this is region whatever. It was region locked to region B.
yeah.
I thought that
Hmm.
was odd because Australia is
Yeah.
not region B. You know what I mean,
No,
Steven?
I mean, it says it on their things that they're region B, but it's usually region free.
Yeah, usually. So just be aware that region locking is now happening in some 4K releases, and I'm not saying that Arrow would do it, but I'm just saying that it's happening. It's
Yeah. Be
kind of
aware.
annoying. And thing is, you're not aware of it until you get the disc and put it in your player, and you can't play it. Uh, I know, and people are gonna say, "Well, who doesn't have a region-free player?" You can have a region-free player, but sometimes you don't have a region-free 4K player. I know
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Yeah. I don't have a 4K one yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have a 4K one either. So I just wanted to make that aware. I just want to make sure that this is available in both editions. But it is coming with two brand new audio, no, one brand new audio commentary, a brand new video interview with the cinematographer, brand new visual essay as well. It's got some vintage interviews with Harrison Ford and stuff. Um, deleted scenes and whatnot, and some old stuff. Limited 60-page book as well, which is kind of great. I did want to say that I'm assuming that the Hellraiser release comes with a book as well. Yeah, a 200
I'm
page
sure it does. Yeah.
a 200-page hardback
Woo.
book with new writing from Clive Barker and then archivist Phil and Sarah Stokes. Holy heck.
That's gonna have a
Holy
lot of
heck.
it. That's
That's
gonna
a
have a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of writing, but I'm sure there's a lot of great
you know how
visuals in
heavy
it.
that package
Yeah.
is going to be?
Yeah.
Just to ship? Man, it's gonna be wild. So moving on, what's the next one? Moving on from After Witness.
The house by the cemetery 4K,
Oh,
which
yes.
I believe this didn't Blue Underground put this out?
I
House
think
by the
you're right.
cemetery. Yeah.
Let
I
me
think I already have a 4K of that from them. So
I'm looking it up right now.
yeah, make sure of that because I'm pretty sure
House
I
by the
got it.
Cemetery 4K came out in 2020, and it came out from Blue Underground. Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah, it says it right here from the original camera negative completed by Blue Underground.
Oh, so they took their
The
master,
same,
their
yeah.
elements. So it's going to at least look the same. Yeah, that Blue Underground release had tons of features. Now that I'm looking at
And
it.
this has tons of features as well. I don't know if it's the same ones. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like the movie. The movie's pretty solid.
Yes,
You
this
know,
is the Lucio Fulci film.
yes,
Um, that he did in the 80s. Of course, he did. Yeah, Lucio Fulci did a bunch of films. I don't have to educate people on Lucio Fulci. I think this is the third and final installment in his Gates of Hell trilogy. 1981's The House by the Cemetery showcases the malevolent maestro at his blood-drenched best. Nice. Um, yeah. This is the one where
nice.
the mom and the young son move to that house, and
Yes,
there's something going bump in the night in that house.
something,
You know, so
something.
they gotta find out what the heck is going on there. And of course, it's attached to the cemetery, which is right by the house. Remind me never to buy a house next to a cemetery.
I never understand anybody that would do that. I mean, I'm sorry if it's even across the street. I'm not. No, I'm not living there.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little, yeah, especially when Halloween comes around. It's gonna be a
I
little
mean,
crazy.
That cemetery wasn't near their house. It was like in the woods somewhere. Still don't want to live near it. Cemeteries have to be at least a mile away.
I
I
feel you.
can't live anywhere.
I was gonna say, Steven, also, I think this release comes with all of the features that Blue Underground release had, because now that I'm doing a side-by-side comparison,
Looks
they're
like it.
kind of lining up.
All right. Well, I guess really you have your choice here then. Because if it is 4K and it is region free, then there should not be an issue here with anybody buying this and be able to watch it as long as you have a 4K player. So yeah, cool. I mean, it's solid. You know, if you maybe if you missed out on that limited edition of the other one, this is your second chance at a limited
Yeah,
edition
also,
version.
if you're loyal to, like, Arrow's
Yeah, yeah,
brand, or you're just like having all the Arrow releases on your shelf next to each other, OCDs and stuff like that. This does have a limited edition 60
60
page,
pounds.
60
Jesus.
pie. I can't speak today. I don't know what's wrong with
Wow.
me. 60-page perfect bound book. That's too many words, Stephen. Too many
Well,
words.
you know,
Just
I tell you what,
say
it's a
60
lot
page
of
book.
that's a lot of stuff in that package to be 60 pounds.
I'll tell you that Hellraiser thing's gonna be 60 pounds. A 200-page book in there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild. But we've got that coming out. We've got The House by the Cemetery coming out in 4K as well as Blu-ray, and then we've got one more
Well, we got a couple
film,
more. We got
couple more film. We got another
uh
one here.
the Iron Fisted Monk.
Yes, we do.
Sounds cool. Of course,
Yeah,
another Hong Kong film, I'm
it
guessing.
is. It's a Golden
Sammo
Harvest
Hung.
film.
Sammo
It's
Hung's in
Sammo
there.
Hung's directorial debut, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think came out in 1977. It's another, like, Hong Kong based, like, revenge action film where
Yeah.
Sammo Hung is playing, I think, yeah, he's playing somebody who is like, he's learning martial arts, and then his uncle gets murdered, and so he wants to get revenge for the murder of his uncle. And then there's this other guy who whose sister gets sexually assaulted and then commits suicide. So now he wants to get revenge, and they both just happen to be, I think, the the same person that they want to get revenge on is like this. It's or from the same people. And so they both want to get revenge on the same people, so they team up and go get revenge. It's a cool action movie. That's about all I can say about it. I did get to watch it, but it's like a lot of these Golden Harvest films from the '70s, a lot of these Shaw Brothers films from the '70s. I find myself being way more entertained by just the action than the actual plots themselves. The
Yeah.
plots are kind of is secondary to the action and the fight choreography and all that cool stuff going on and the wildness of when you get the supernatural things going on and whatnot. Um, that's more of the cool stuff. Sammo Hung is great martial artist, great fight choreographer. All that cool stuff is in this movie. This there was a release of this by Eureka from a few years ago, and I think this has all of the same special features that release had. There was a 3-film, like, trilogy set of Sammo Hung films that they put out, and this was one of them. But uh, this has all those features, so you're not missing out on anything. I think this is a a US release, and I think Eureka still has yeah, I think Eureka still has the UK, rights.
Okay.
So that's what this is. Um, yeah, so that's a Sammo Hung film from the '70s. Next, Steven, The Desperate Hours.
Yes. This one I'm excited because I mean I enjoyed this movie a lot. I believe didn't this get a release in a box set recently? Um, I want to say it was maybe an imprint box. No, maybe not
Are you
imprint.
thinking of that?
Was it a Kino box set? Was it a something? Something had a box set
Hold
with
on.
this in it, I think. And I was a little bit upset because it was in a box set, and I was like,
You know what it was?
"What was?"
Essential Noir Collection number 3 from Imprint
There you go. It
from
was imprint.
from August of last year.
Yeah, I was a little upset because I was like, "Man, I don't want to buy all them noir set. I don't want to buy that whole noir set just to get that because that's the movie I wanted in the set. Definitely, I was like, but now we're getting the release right here by itself. I'm excited because this is a great film, and it's one of them films Bogart did where he kind of plays the heavy. And then, of course, this is directed by William Wyler. I'm a big fan of William Wyler. Yeah, this is a good one. This is where um, he's a prison escapee with a couple other guys, and then they kind of take this family hostage in their house while they're trying to figure out a way to get out, and make a good clean getaway. And yeah, it's good. It's one of the movies where you're kind of it's like simple one place the whole movie, but it deals with like moralistic things. It's a talky movie, but it's good acting all around. Love it. It's a good movie. I know you've seen it too.
I have seen it because I think when we covered when that set came out, I watched it. Also, I'm a big Humphrey Bogart fan. I want to get all of his movies anyway, so this is
Mhm.
definitely something that I've got my eye on. Also, it's a little different from Arrow. Arrow doesn't usually release like old classic Hollywood films, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't feel like
not
that's not usually their thing.
it's not a typical
Like
move.
this is such a this feels more like an imprint release.
Well, this feels like
Or
a
not an
Kino
imprint, it feels like
release
more like an indicator release.
or a Kino release or like,
Mm.
like I feel like, somebody, Arrow's all over the place, but not typically classic Hollywood. I'm sure there's some examples of some classic
Well,
Hollywood
yeah,
that they put
usually their
out.
classic Hollywood stuff was released through the Arrow Academy banner. Like that's where this would have probably come through their Arrow Academy banner, back when Arrow Academy was a thing. And since it's no longer a thing, we kind of I guess they just get a regular Arrow release, which is fine with me. Fine with me. But this is coming out in the US as well as no, I think this yeah, as no, this is just a US release. I thought it also came out in the UK, but it doesn't.
Hmm.
It's just a US release. Um
Well,
US and Canada, so somebody must own the rights in the UK for it. Could be Indicator,
yeah,
who
maybe.
knows? But this is coming with a new 6K restoration from the original This Division Negative by Arrow Video. Damn, that's a hell of a thing. We got a new visual essay here. We got new audio commentary. Um, a new appreciation of the movie. We got some cool new stuff going on. This is definitely on my radar.
Definitely. Yeah.
This is this is gonna be Region A. So yeah, this is something I need to get. Also, I have a bunch of other William Wyler films, so this is gonna go right in that section perfectly. Um, but yeah, that's it from Arrow. Um, that was kind of the last big slate of the month for
Yeah.
July of 2023.
Yes, yes, yes. Once again, another good month. I see all you guys out there getting your Bruce Lee sets from Arrow. It's just speaking of Arrow. People being upset that a lot of them are being, messed
You
up.
can't see my face right now, but I've seen some pictures of
Yeah,
of horrific looking uh packagings of just being like like
yeah,
destroyed crunched corners, slits down the side, just things been knocked about like a bowling ball, I guess.
yeah.
Damn. Which is unfortunate because the insides of the set, from what I've seen, look incredible. This gorgeous inner packaging with all the different individual discs, all the artwork on everything. It looks amazing. It's a shame that the outside is getting battered so badly. Um, yeah, there's some things that we didn't talk about, Steven. I don't know if you want me to bring them up. What time is it? Okay.
Well, how many things are we? Are we talking
Well,
about the Disney thing with Australia? Because
no.
that's
We don't
not
need to talk about that. I was talking
okay.
about some other
Oh man,
some
we just
releases.
you do this. We like ramp it up, and we're like, "This is it," and then you're like, "Here's
Well,
five more
I see
things."
some stuff here. Uh, I can't just ignore it. I do want. This is quick. I do want to say there's going to be. It looks like a 4K UHD steelbook from Studio Canal of Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai.
Yeah, I think
Which
we've talked about that one before.
have we talked about that?
I think we've talked about a
I don't
UHD
know why
of that.
it was announced as a new title announcement because I
I'm
think you're
pretty
right.
sure we talked about that.
We
Yeah,
have. I mean,
yeah.
there is some stuff coming from Shout Factory slash Scream Factory, which hasn't really officially been announced. So you know what I'll do? I'll just run down what they are,
Mm.
and then we'll talk about them
Yeah, we'll
when
talk
we get
about them
more
for
deets,
when they're officially announced.
when we get some more details. So they're going to be a 4K UHD, some upgrades, some Blu-ray releases in October from Scream Factory slash Shout Factory. Pumpkinhead's getting a 4K UHD release. The
It's a big one.
Blob, the Blob from the 80s is getting a 4K UHD release, which I really like that movie.
Yeah.
And this may be sacrilege, but I like it more than the 1950s
Whoa,
one starring
whoa,
Steve McQueen.
whoa, whoa!
I-
I don't think anybody cares. Go
okay,
ahead.
thank you. Night of the Demons is getting a 4K UHD release. Night of the Demons 2 getting a Blu-ray release. Night of the Demons 3 getting a Blu-ray release. And then, just if you thought you couldn't handle any more Shaw Brothers Classics Volume 3 is on the horizon in October. There's a lot
I'll
of Shaw
collect them
Brothers
all
coming.
one day when I, you know, don't have any more bills to pay. You know.
Well, keep in mind Shaw Brothers Classics Volume 2 is not even out yet. It
Yeah.
comes out in August, I think, and we haven't reached that point yet. So it's so they did the same thing with Shaw Brothers Classics Volume 2. The first one hadn't even come out yet. They already announced it. So just from Shout Factory alone, if I just guessing, there's over 30 Shaw Brothers films just from them. That's not including the two sets from Arrow. That's not including any individual releases. That's not including if we get a Shaw Scope Volume 3 either. So who knows if that's on the horizon.
That
So
should be.
that's interesting. I also do want to mention that Pumpkinhead. Steven, have you ever seen Pumpkinhead?
I want to say yes, but I don't remember it very well. So
So yeah, I've only ever seen it. It came out in 1988, starring Lance Hendrickson, directed by Stan Winston. Now, Stan Winston's probably not a director of note for many, but he did do predominantly work in the makeup department and special effects departments, and he worked on films that people will know of. Terminator 2, Terminator, Jurassic Park, Aliens, um, some prominent films that he worked in those departments on. Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands, Interview with the Vampire. He worked on The Entity, Friday the 13th Part 3, The Thing. He additional makeup effects on The Thing. Um, yeah, so I just always thought that that's kind of an interesting thing. When I was on Disconnected, we talked about actors and actresses turned directors, but I'm also kind of fascinated by people in other areas of film production trying their hands at directing and seeing how
Yeah.
that goes. We see cinematographers do it, we see writers do it, um, we see special effects people do. We've seen stunt coordinators do it with the
Yeah.
John Wick films. I mean, so it's interesting how that's the thing. But yeah, so that is kind of everything, Stephen. Had to squeeze it in at the
You
end.
sure? Okay.
I mean, there's always stuff to talk about, but yeah,
There's
for
always
sure.
stuff. But that'll do it for this week's episode. Thanks everybody. Thank you everybody for listening, for following along with us, especially at all our social medias. Andrew, where is your social media at?
You can follow me on Twitter, or as it's known now, X.
X.
Yeah, as it's known now is as X. Um, as at Capzilla06. I think that's how it's still done. I don't even know how you identify yourself on there anymore. They're not called tweets anymore. They're called posts, and the app is no longer called Twitter. It's just called X. I
Cool.
don't know why, but you can follow me on there, and you can also follow me on our YouTube channel. Chasing Labels is another place.
All right. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can find me at my Letterboxd, see what I'm watching. If I ever have time to watch anything. It's just a sad thing. Um, you can watch me. Please don't watch me. You can listen to me or follow me on the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be our Twitter or Instagram. You can also find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening, and hey, keep on watching the movies.
I know I will.